All right, welcome back to the new SEC podcast. I'm Hunter Eastman, joined by Randall Adet Jr. We got one of the best games in the SEC, best games in the country this week. Number 8, Ole Miss is heading to Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma right now, number 13. It's a good matchup. I saw some questions before this game was slated and on the books on who would be favored here. Some were saying maybe Ole Miss would be favored. Some were saying Oklahoma. Oklahoma now 4.5-point favorites in this one. It's going to be a good matchup, noon on ABC. What are we thinking?
Yeah, thinking a lot of things about this game. Super excited for this matchup. I want to know your thoughts on, why you think Vegas is favoring Oklahoma in this game.
I think it comes down strictly to the defense. I think it's a defense that Ole Miss hasn't seen yet. They've been able to kind of have their way with teams, and the defense for Ole Miss has just been having to, stop them enough. Like we saw a close one with Washington State, a close loss then to Georgia. They haven't seen something that what Oklahoma can bring to the table. Like Chambliss right now, least pressured quarterback in the SEC, facing pressure only 20% of dropbacks, lowest sacked quarterback, only 36 pressures on the season. But then you have Oklahoma, who's given every quarterback that they play fits. So that's where I think that line comes from.
I could definitely see that being the reason. And I also think, because of the fact that Oklahoma's playing at home and, you're saying that Ole Miss hasn't seen anything like this defense. Oklahoma hasn't seen anything like this offense. The best offenses they've played to date this season is Texas and Michigan, right? I mean, they're going to be playing, right now, Ole Miss is second in the SEC in passing offense. We saw Trinidad Chambliss score on 5 straight possessions against Georgia last week. And they're number 2 in the SEC in passing yards per game, 304 yards per game. Trinidad Chambliss is playing on another level, and I'm really excited to see how that offense matched up against the strong Oklahoma defense.
You're absolutely right. I don't think that they've faced an offense like this, and I think that some of their statistical advantages on the Oklahoma side have come from playing teams that feed into that a little bit, like the O-line for Texas. It's not just Oklahoma that takes advantage of that. The O-line for Auburn, it's not just Oklahoma that takes advantage of that. But I do think looking at, R. Mason Thomas, Taylor Ween, David Stone, there's a lot of different pieces to challenge. But it is going to be a tough matchup for Oklahoma to guard all of the different weapons that Ole Miss has. Like a lot of different guys to go to. We saw it in the Texas game where certain things can break down, plays can get open. That's if Oklahoma doesn't get the pressure there, doesn't get home, how then does the secondary from Oklahoma cover, Strickland, Wallace, all these guys?
Yeah, I don't know if they necessarily have an answer for that, and I'm pretty confident in the Oklahoma rushing defense. I know Kawan Lacey at running back for Ole Miss is 3rd in the SEC in rushing yards, but right now Oklahoma's rushing defense is number 1 in the SEC, 80.7 yards. And so I think when you think about keys to the game, it's exactly what you said. Can Oklahoma's passing defense, number 1 in the SEC right now as well, 132.6 yards, kind of guard all 7 of these weapons on Ole Miss's side?
Yeah, it's all about the pressure. It really is. I mean, they're leading the nation in sacks per game. And then, Kawan Lacey had his worst game of the season really last week. He's got 3rd in the SEC from a running back perspective. He's also 3rd in the nation on broken tackles. So it is going to be containing that part of it and then forcing it to be Chambliss's eyes and decision-making that beats you, because we saw down the stretch of the Georgia game, some things fizzle out where they were up and then couldn't continue to sustain the offensive powerhouse nature that they had going into, midway through the 3rd quarter.
Yeah. How do you challenge Chambliss? And I think that Oklahoma on paper looks like that's their strength. Like that's what they should be able to do in the midst of, Oklahoma only having 1 loss. Is kind of the story around what is this offensive identity going to be? And it's been the story for Brent Venables, entire time here. And I feel like it's been more illuminated the last couple weeks because a good offense is going to be critical to beat the Ole Misses, to beat the Tennessees coming up on the schedule. And we haven't seen it look as well played the last couple weeks. So thoughts on this offense and what it needs to look like for Oklahoma to win this game?
I think if you watched our power rankings that we did a couple of days ago, we talked a little bit about how the Oklahoma rushing attack has developed. They've are starting to commit to the run with the running backs. What they did in the last game is exactly what I was waiting on. 30 carries between Blaylock and Robinson, 159 yards between those two guys. Up until that game, in the P4 games that Oklahoma played, the running backs only had 112 yards total. That's 37.3 per game. 159 versus South Carolina. They're starting to give these guys touches, and that's taking some of that pressure off of Mateer, letting him settle into the pocket a little bit more, rolling out when he needs to. I think the offense is becoming more well-rounded. It was South Carolina. It wasn't Ole Miss. They're trending in the right direction, where I think the things that hurt them in the Texas game was more Mateer focused, the running not working, and that nature.
Yeah. Ole Miss, 15th in the country, or 15th in the SEC rushing defense-wise, 166.7 yards per game. They're getting gashed up. They got gashed up last week against Georgia. Use your running backs and honestly use Mateer's legs as well. Like you just saw what the quarterback for Georgia was able to do last week. What he's been able to do all season. Like Stockton's not doing that much different on the ground than what Mateer's capable of doing.
Right. And I think part of that, they maybe lean back a little bit after maybe overextending the hand injury in the Texas game by having him run and taking hits, like reel that back in. But it is a great weapon. Like, don't go completely away from that in using your running backs, but that's just another weapon to the arsenal. You have great receivers, Satania, Burks. You're getting Jaron Kanak, not his best game last week, but you have really great tight ends. So yeah, I think using the running backs, using Mateer's legs, settling a little bit more into the offense, not being so
one-sided either way.
One-sided either way, or being more like playmaker-esque where it's rolling out of the pocket trying to find a guy last minute. It's not super consistent. I do think that they're trending in the right direction, though. The defense for me is the make or break in this game for Oklahoma, and that's where I'm leaning Oklahoma because of the defense that they have.
Yeah, and if you listen to our power rankings, and I definitely understand, if we power ranked defenses in the SEC, Oklahoma's number one. If we power rank the entire SEC, we put Ole Miss, I think, at four or five. It's an offensive conference. I like Ole Miss in this game, 30-20. I think they're going to be able to outscore Oklahoma. Of course, if you outscore a team, you win. And I don't know if Oklahoma has enough offensively to keep up with the pace that this Ole Miss offense has been able to score at.
Okay. Look, for Ole Miss to win this game, for me, they have to get the ball out of Chambliss' hands quick. The defense for Ole Miss needs to force a turnover off of Oklahoma. However, the key for me in this game, Oklahoma, I said it, the pass rush, the development of the running backs. They're not going to try to shoot out here. I like Oklahoma, 24-23, a real close one, maybe a last-minute score here. And for those betting on this game, Oklahoma has not hit an over on the year. An Oklahoma game has not gone over once this season. 7 games under. So if you're placing any bets here, take that into consideration. One more point before we get out of here. You asked before we started, is there any potential shakeup in this game or rumors that are going to affect anything about Lane Kiffin leaving for another school? Does that impact this game at all?
I mean, it may have impacted last game. There was obviously rumors about, Billy Napier and potentially not being the coach before the Mississippi State game. It's a possibility that, whether it's the Florida job or contract negotiations being leveraged by all the coaching openings, it could definitely play an impact here because it just could. So I think it's a possibility. What are your thoughts there?
I don't see him leaving. I wonder though, with the rumor mill and the whole agent situation and getting your money, nothing wrong there. I don't think he leaves. So I think he's been able to convince the team of such and continue to keep their eyes on the prize. I think it's gonna be a really good game. All in all, that all aside, it's a huge one for the SEC standings going forward. These are both just one-loss teams sitting inside the top 15 in the country. This has a huge implication going forward for the resumes of the teams that they've played. It's critical. If you're an Ole Miss fan, Rebels, if you're an Oklahoma fan, Sooners, let us know what you think, who you got in this game. I love when everyone gets after it in the comments, 2 different fan bases chirping each other. Love to see it. We appreciate you being here. As always, hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this. We do our, previews every week. And then afterwards, we've done our power rankings. We sometimes do our team of the weeks. Be sure to tune into that. As always, I'm Hunter Ziesman, joined here by Randall Ledet Jr., and we will catch you next time.